The battle was over. A victory deemed impossible just 3 hours earlier had been achieved. Alien commanders still stared in shock at the battlefield. Then someone asked, how did the humans do it? General Krex's answer would reveal a truth no one had ever heard before. Death silence reigned on the bridge of the Galactic Alliance fleet's flagship. Massive screens displayed the final images of a battle that had begun just 3 hours ago. The Kreldon Empire's supposedly invincible 12th Fleet drifted in pieces through the void of space. Admiral Vorthak stared at the screens with all 6 eyes, still unable to believe what he was seeing. His carapace had shifted to gray, the color of disbelief among his people. Beside him, Commander Zilax whispered in a trembling voice, "Admiral, how was this possible?" The same question gnawed at both of them and at the other 47 commanders from different species on the bridge. 3 hours ago, the situation had been crystal clear. The Kreldon 12th Fleet, the galaxy's most powerful war machine, was attacking the Terra system. 300 warships, 50,000 warriors, years of developed strategy. Their flagship alone had enough firepower to crack a moon. Facing them, 12 human ships, not even proper warships, converted cargo haulers and mining vessels. Mathematically impossible, Vorthak muttered. 25 to 1 disadvantage. Even our most advanced war simulations showed only a 0.03% chance of victory. But there was the result before them. The Kreldon fleet had been annihilated. Of the 12 human ships, 8 were still operational, barely scratched. Commander Zilax gathered courage to ask, "Admiral, we need to write reports about this." But how did the humans do it? How did they fight? At that moment, the bridge doors opened. The figure who entered was General Krex, freezing every commander in place. A Corellarian, Krex stood 3 meters tall, his armored hide bearing the scars of 400 battles, the galaxy's most experienced war commander. But something was different about him now. In his bearing was an emotion no one had ever seen from the legendary general: uncertainty. Krex approached the central console with heavy steps. In his voice was something they had never heard before. Was it respect? Fear? "I heard the question, Commander Zilax," Krex said, a barely perceptible tremor in his voice. "You want to know how humans fight." Krex's lower eyes closed, a sign of deep thought among Corellarians. "I have fought humans 3 times before. I lost all 3 times. But this time was different. This time I observed them carefully." Every commander on the bridge held their breath. "We consider war a matter of honor," Krex continued, his voice growing stronger. "Kreldons see it as art. Zenthari aliens approach it as ritual. But humans—" A pause. Then, as if confessing something terrible, "Humans see war as a problem to be solved, nothing more, nothing less. For them, war is a mathematical equation with variables to control. While you try to add honor to it, they're calculating your weaknesses. While you perform artistic maneuvers, they're measuring your fuel consumption and crew fatigue." Vorthak leaned forward. "But how can this cold calculation, this emotionless approach become such devastating strength?" All of Krex's eyes gleamed with something between admiration and terror. "Because they are also passionate, angry, fiercely protective. But they do something no other species has mastered. They put these emotions in service of their strategy." Today, when the Kreldon fleet arrived, humans had already spent 3 hours setting an elaborate trap, misdirecting the enemy, turning every hostile ship into its own self-destruct mechanism. He paused, letting the implications sink in. They fought with patience, not passion. They waited for their enemies to defeat themselves. "When the Kreldan ships exploded," Krex said, his voice mixing admiration and horror, "I ran detailed scans. None of them had been destroyed by direct human fire." The silence was deafening. The humans had somehow caused the Kreldons to turn their own weapons on their own ships. Of 300 vessels, 287 were destroyed by their own missiles, their own plasma cannons, their own defensive systems. Commander Zilax's vocal cords trembled. How is this even possible?" "The humans," Krex explained slowly, "had mapped out our psychology. Our honor codes, our pride, our tactical habits. Then they used this knowledge like a weapon, manipulating us to fight ourselves. They turned our greatest strengths, our traditions, our unity, our predictable responses, into our downfall. But the most terrifying part, Krex continued, his voice dropping to almost a whisper, during the entire 3-hour battle, they never seemed worried, never hurried. They waited patiently, letting their plan unfold, as if they already knew exactly how it would end. Admiral Vorthak whispered, "As if." "No," Krex said with absolute certainty. "They did know, because they had planned this victory months in advance. They had won this battle before the Kreldons even left their home system." Everyone on the bridge stood frozen, the implications washing over them like ice water. "Humans," Krex spoke his final words with something approaching reverence, "are the only species that lives in the future. While we're still fighting yesterday's wars with yesterday's thinking, they're already winning tomorrow's conflicts." The bridge remained silent for long minutes as the weight of Krex's words settled over them. Outside the viewports, debris from the once mighty Kreldon fleet continued its slow drift through space, a monument to the fundamental shift in how warfare would be understood from this day forward. Admiral Vorthak finally spoke, his voice hollow. "General, what you're describing isn't just military superiority. You're saying humans can control fate itself." Krex nodded slowly. That day, the Galactic Alliance's most experienced commanders learned a lesson that would echo through history. Fighting humans wasn't about facing a superior enemy or overcoming advanced technology. It was about challenging the future itself. And the future, he concluded, looking out at the wreckage that had once been an unstoppable armada, always wins. That realization would haunt every military leader in the galaxy. Humans didn't just fight wars, they rewrote the very concept of what war could be.